doing, everybody? Hopefully you're staying safe out there. Hopefully you are keeping safe, and hopefully you're ready for a good weekend. Welcome to a Friday night edition of Flames Nation Live. My name is Pat Steinberg, live in our Sportsnet 960 studios on this Friday night, and we've got lots to talk about. Even though there's not a ton going on in Flamesland right now, we've got lots to talk about today, and we'll get into lots of your comments and lots of your questions. We've got Ryan first in. Ryan in Calgary is watching. He's the first one through. Tom in Sydney, Australia, number 2. And Sam is number 3 into the stream. Come along with us. So you've got Pat, and let's also say hello to the one and only Ryan Pike, who joins us as well. Hello, Mr. Pike. Welcome to Flames Nation Live on this Friday. Also joining us from Calgary. What's happening, Pike? It's slowed down a little bit in Flamesland. Not a ton of news over the last few weeks here.
Well, they still got to get Shillington done, but other than that, it's just sort of a lot of waiting and seeing. I know you guys on the big show this afternoon had a lot of talk about the various CBA things that need to happen. And there's going to be a lot of noise between now and the end of the month, and we'll see if it actually amounts to anything. Because if the National Hockey League is going to start up on December 1st, they're going to have to get their ducks in a row pretty quickly. So I think this feels like the calm before a very quick storm.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's a good way of putting it. And I think if we're talking about a January 1st to the start to the season, if it's going to be Jan 1, then we're going to need to be talking about some sort of announcement by the end of the month, and probably training camp starting on December 15th. So if this is going to happen, it's going to be coming in really, really rapid succession here. A couple of things. If you joined us on Monday's Flames Nation Live, I said I either need to get a haircut or I'm putting a toque on. I put the toque on today because the hair is just out of control. So that's no good. Nobody wants to see that.
Just go to a barber, Pat. Just go to a barber.
I probably should. I just am lazy and haven't. William is the fourth in on the chat. Hey, get your comments in and your thoughts in on the sidebar. If you're watching live with us on Flames Nation Live, you can always ask us questions. And if you have any thoughts, we love those. And it's a very interactive show on Flames Nation Live. But we'll start with our first big topic of the day. It is at flamesnation.ca right now. And that is what is appearing on your screen. The Flames should investigate moving Sam Bennett to center. And this comes from something that head coach Jeff Ward said on our airwaves earlier this week. He was doing the United by Community Day that we did, and Rob Kerr was asking a question from the text line, I believe, and just asked him, where do you see Sam Bennett playing center next year? And very simply, Jeff Ward said, center. I see him at center. Don't need to add anything else. And that certainly got people raise their eyebrows a little bit in hearing him say that, and it makes you wonder, how much do the Flames have their eyes on Sam Bennett playing center on a full-time basis next season? I really like the idea in principle, Pike. I think there's a lot to the conversation about him playing down the middle. I loved what I saw from him in the postseason. Those 10 return to play games, I thought Bennett was dominant. I thought he was their best player. I thought he was a really big revelation for the group. And it all came with him playing center. Prior to that, I had written off on the idea of him down the middle. I thought wing was where he was going to be. I saw that. And now all of a sudden, my door's opened personally when it comes to that conversation. What about you? What about the prospect of Sam Bennett down the middle?
I like it, but he's going to need to find consistency that he hasn't had at this point. And I feel for Sam because he was drafted as a center, and they say, hey, we're going to put you in the NHL on the wing, which if you're going to learn how to play in the NHL, playing on the flank of Mikael Backlund, there's a lot worse places to be in the National Hockey League. But it's not like you're getting, spoon-fed easy minutes. You're getting some tough minutes, and he played really well that first year on the left side of Backlund. And then when Glenn Gulson came in, they said, let's try him out at center, and he wasn't great right away. and then they put him on the wing again, and they went back. He's gone back and forth so many times that the one thing Sam needs is consistency. And I think the one thing that Sam needs is sort of he needs to have a role or a niche or whatever term you want to use. He needs to have something that's his that he can grow because one of the reasons I think his predecessor in that slot on the third line, Derek Ryan, was so effective was he had consistent line mates, consistent minutes, consistent usage. He always got used with the same guys, the same amount of time, the same situation. So expectations were really easy, and then they just sort of let it roll. And if you look at, say, we're all really excited about Dylan Dubé. Dylan Dubé had a fantastic playoff. I think one of the reasons why Dylan Dubé did so well is that Dylan Dubé's role is very clear in the hockey club. Sam Bennett's, who knows? And Bennett's been around a lot longer than Dubé has. So if, the short answer to a long answer is if that how to give him consistent minutes and a very clear role, center's a great spot for him. But if it's just going to be a situation where he gets yo-yoed in and out of his spot because of circumstances, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the fascinating part for me because the way I look at it right now, I don't know if there is a natural fit for Bennett down the middle with the way the lineup is constructed. Now, if they start next season the same way they ended the playoffs and have Lindholm on the right side of Monahan and Gaudreau, well, then okay, there's maybe a little bit more of an opening for Bennett to play down the middle. But if they are, like Brad Treliving has hinted at moving Elias Lindholm to the middle and kind of has talked about how that was one of their off-season plans. Well, if they're going to do that, I don't know if there is a natural spot for Bennett there. I mean, does that mean that you're moving Derek Ryan to the wing and now Bennett's your number 4 center? Does that mean there's a lot of people at Flames Nation who have talked about maybe moving Sean Monahan to the wing? I don't see that as a great fit myself, but it's been talked about before. Is that something they look at doing? So it's nowhere near as natural a fit if Lindholm's playing center, and that kind of goes to one of the topics we wanted to get in today, and that is how many center icemen, natural centers, this team has on the roster right now.
Well, and that's the thing, because honestly though, all due respect to Sam Bennett, but Sam Bennett, if he's a center this year, is arguably their least experienced / weakest center. And that he's an NHL center. I don't no disrespect meant to him, but maybe you do put him on a wing or you put him up the middle, and then you have someone like Derek Ryan, who I think one of the smartest things the Flames did for their young players was getting Derek Ryan, because Derek Ryan has had a very, to coin a term, Giordanoian trajectory to his career, where he played 4 years in the Dub, aged out, went to U Sports, played 4 years in U Sports, got a degree, aged out, went to leagues in Europe that hardcore hockey fans rarely pay attention to. And he came up very honestly. He clawed his way in, and now if you're a guy like Sam Bennett, if you're Sam Bennett, there's gonna be some crappy nights when you're learning or relearning to play center of the National Hockey League. So if you have weak side faceoffs, maybe you can put Derek Ryan at take those draws. If you have some interesting deployments against some tougher matchups, maybe instead of having the Flames have their fourth line targeted and preyed upon like it has been in recent years, if it's, I don't know, let's just throw out names, Nordstrom on the left side and Bennett and Ryan up, on the center and right, that's pretty good because you have some depth and you have some guys who can play all over the place. And then if you have, let's just tease this out, if you have Derek Ryan as your fourth line right wing, then you probably have Dylan Dubé is one of those right side guys. Matthew Tkachuk, probably someone like Dominic Simone in the other spot. Maybe depending on if people gets hurt or get called up, Glenn Gaudin. It gives them a lot of, much like your argument with the Flames should put Elias Lindholm at center because it makes them a much deeper team and a much more difficult team to match up against, especially if, we'll get into this in the coming weeks when it looks clearer what the hell the schedule is going to look like. But if they're getting a Canadian, let's do some quick math here. I love the math. 60-game season, The Flames are one of 7 teams in a 7-team Canadian division, so they play every other team 10 times. So if you're playing Edmonton 10 times and Vancouver 10 times and Winnipeg and so on, having a deep roster of lines you can roll, of guys you can mix and match, will go a long way for them to be a team that can have some success. And
Yeah.
Elias Lindholm at center makes them a deeper team and tougher to match up. And I think Sam Bennett at center, if he can keep doing what he did in the postseason, I think that makes him a really painful team to play because you don't know what you're going to get. And then, well, your 4 centers, your regular centers, what? Lindholm, Monahan, Backlund, Bennett, with you can occasionally cycle in Derek Ryan for tough faceoffs on the strong side. That's pretty good. It gives you a lot of things you can do and a lot of tools you can pull out of the little toolbox when you're playing a team 2 or 3 times in the course of a week.
It's crazy because I would not have. I can honestly tell you, if you would have asked me this question in February of this year, I would have said no. I don't see Bennett as I just don't see Bennett projecting as a center long term. I don't think that it's what he fits best at. And then all of a sudden, you put the league on pause for 4 months, and Bennett comes back and he's the best player, the best forward on the team in those 10 games, and he's playing center the entire time. And that was not something I was expecting, but it happened, and so I've changed my tune on it. I'm actually way more intrigued about Bennett at center than I have been in years. So we'll see if that ends up coming to pass. Hey, you're rocking with us on Flames Nation Live. It's Ryan Pike and Pat Steinberg along with you. We'll get to another topic that Pike has for us in just a second. But don't forget, get your questions and your comments in as we go live right now. I'll read this one from Sam, who says, question for Ryan, is Markstrom and Riddick the best tandem in the NHL? Where do you stand on Sam's question about the goalie tandem right now?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the best. We're probably going to look into it in some depth during the month of November because inside baseball, we know when the hell training camp opens, we'll be able to map out our off-season content. But just looking at the tandems, like I think let's be honest, it's probably the best tandem the Flames have had since Mika Kiprasov and Roman Turek. Like it's easily the best one they've had the last 16 years. And I mean, Carey Price, if he can stay Hallen's pretty good. But there's a few other ones that I kind of like in the NHL. But it's pretty.
Rask and Halak is probably the best one. That statistically, it has been elite since Halak got there. We know how good Rask has been, and Halak has reclaimed his career in Boston.
And Khudobin and Bishop aren't anything to sneeze at either. Like when you're trotting out Anton Khudobin in the playoffs because Ben Bishop's body's falling apart, if he's the cavalry, you have a pretty good cavalry.
Yeah. Your questions and your comments as we continue on Flames Nation Live. Tell us a little bit about Juuso Välimäki, because we know that he's playing in Finland right now, and we know he's playing well in Finland and a lot with his team in that league. But there's also kind of a new revelation that may have popped up, and that could have some impact once the NHL season starts. Is Juuso playing the opposite side on the blue line in Finland right now?
He's playing on the right side of the top pairing because Ilves has so damn many left shot defensemen. So he's been trying it out, and he's been looking pretty good. I mean, Ilves right now is in first place in SM Liga in Finland, and Juuso Välimäki is the most used best defenseman on the best team in Finland. And he's 22. He hasn't played in a year and a half. Like, I think, when you had Brad Phillipping on, Brad's been pretty adamant that, they just wanted him to get reps in. I mean, they're not really poring over his video and going, oh God, and trying to sort of make some, try to figure out his game. They just want him to get some reps in. But he's not only getting reps in, but he is, one of Joakim Nevalainen over at Dauber called him the best player in the league in SM Liga. He's the best player arguably on the best team in Finland at 22 in a men's league that is, there's the KHL. You can make a case for the SHL in Sweden as being equivalent or maybe slightly better, and then the NHL and the AHL. So it's, depending on how you rank Europe, the 3rd to 5th best league in the world. I'd say 4th or 5th. I'd say the KHL, the AHL are definitely better, and then it's about
Sweden's better probably
yeah,
too.
it's about Finland and Sweden are probably neck and neck. I'd say Sweden's slightly ahead. So top 5 league in the world, and he's 22 when he hasn't played in a year and a half. So can he do that in the NHL? Well, you and I saw a lot of him his rookie year before he had that high ankle sprain. He looked pretty damn good. And I think, much like you and I were discussing, we were talking about centers, the Flames arguably lost some versatility when they have no more TJ Brody. That kind of sucks. But Yusuf Valimaki apparently can play both sides. Oliver Shillington can play both sides. Nikita Nesterov can play both sides. So if you're saying, what do you do with Valimaki? Well, Valimaki could play on the left side with Rasmus Andersson like he did a bit his rookie year. Or he could play on the left side with, Chris Tanev. Chris Tanev's a good defensive guy. That would even him out. Or
Tanev played with Quinn Hughes for most of this past season in Vancouver.
Or you could throw him, if maybe you wanted to get some offense going, throw him with the Norris Trophy winner from 2 years ago, Mark Giordano, and see what they can do. You could throw him with Noah Hannafin. I think it's much like the center slotting gives you a lot of different things you can do. The fact that Valimaki seems to be playing really well and seems to have a comfort zone on the right side in Finland could open up a lot of possibilities for Jeff Ward.
The fascinating thing, I still think as good as that is that we're seeing him play those minutes on the right side in Finland. It's not a bad thing, and having him have that versatility, not a bad thing. But I still think I'd feel more comfortable with him in what is essentially going to be his rookie NHL season. It won't technically be, but let's be honest. He hasn't played in a year.
He still will, because he still has.
Oh, that's right. I guess it still will because he didn't play the 25, right?
Yeah, he played 24, and playoff games don't count.
So there you go. So in what will actually be his rookie season, I'd still be more comfortable with him playing his natural side and not putting him in another difficult situation on top of asking him to be a full-time NHL defenseman. Maybe that's something for him down the road. I think I'd feel more comfortable with him on the left, but it does give them some really interesting options. And the guy that you didn't throw into that conversation, and where I think this could get really interesting, maybe it's not this season, but it could be this season. I honestly believe that Connor Mackey pushes for an NHL job in training camp. Everything I saw from him, albeit in a shortened period of time during that summer training camp where he wasn't eligible for the restart, everything I saw from him suggested to me that he's ready to compete for an NHL job. And maybe he's not ready in his first training camp, but it would not surprise me one bit if he is in the mix for an NHL job in training camp. And we have heard the Flames speak glowingly of this guy. Ryan Huska told us that going back to the summer on Sportsnet 960, he said, I can almost guarantee he's going to play NHL games next year. So I wonder how Mackey fits in as another left shot defenseman. Maybe that's when you start playing with Valimaki on the right side to give an opening for a guy like Mackey to come in.
Yeah, and you and I were on those WebEx calls at the end of the season with Jeff Ward, and I asked Jeff Ward, very briefly, I'm like, I know Mackey couldn't play, but what'd you think of him? And he talked for a while about.
Yeah.
He basically started off his answer with really, really good, and then talked for 3 minutes with superlatives, and then ended with really, really impressed. So for the Flames, Brad Treliving, Jeff Ward, culturally speaking, the Flames are, in all due respect to the organization up north, the anti-Oilers. They're not going to try to frame anybody as the savior, including established NHL players. I mean, Jacob Markstrom was, he's been up there for the Vezina the last few years, and getting the Flames to have been anything that, do you have an elite goaltender? Well, we have a good one. It's like pulling teeth getting them to praise someone, which is nice. But for Mackey, for an organization that does not want to, for lack of a better term, Sven Berchi any young players and create undue expectations, for them to go out of their way repeatedly to say so many nice things about Connor Mackey, he's already signed with them. They don't need to go out and throw him a parade for him to
Yeah.
sign. It's happened. The ink is dry. So the fact that they're doing this says an awful lot about how much they think about him. And the cap situation is what it is, but he's making, at the NHL level, he'd be making more than a lot of the other options. So maybe the cap keeps him down for a little bit. But I know, I can tell you flat out, and you know from the people you talk to, the Flames are trying to open up cap space, if only because they don't want to keep they want to operate like they were operating in the summer, where the best 23 guys are here. They can't do that right now, probably because A, they can't afford to keep 23 guys, and B, some guys who are really good and will probably help the hockey club make $100,000 more than the league minimum guys, and that might be keeping them down in Stockton for a while. So, but you're right. I think they really love Mackey, and I'll say this. I mean, I looked at the odds makers things like Bodog and all the different betting places have put out their props for the Calder this year. Did not see Yusuf Alamaki anywhere, and Yusuf Alamaki is going to be given every chance to succeed. I could see him get power play time. I could see him get based on the way Jeff Ward uses his bench. You're going to see a lot of guys. You're going to see a lot of Shillington and Valimaki and probably Nestorov in the offensive zone. And we've seen in Finland, Valimaki can do some cool stuff in the offensive zone. So I'm not going to say he's going to contend for the Calder, but I think he's going to really impress some people this year, because he's impressed a lot of people this year so far in Finland.
Last call for some comments on our Facebook Live. Flames Nation Live continues. Let me throw this question from Travis. It goes back to one of our first topics today. Travis says, my question for you guys, how would you predict the 4 centers for the Flames going into next year? It's tough. How do I predict and what do I think should happen are two different conversations. I still have this feeling, as much as the Lindholm conversation is one that we talk about all the time. My prediction is Monahan, Backlund, Bennett, Ryan will be your 4 centers for next year. What I think it should be is different. I think it should be Lindholm, Monahan, Backlund, and either Bennett or Ryan. But my prediction as of right now is that Lindholm starts the season on the wing. But that's just my guess. I that's honestly coming from nowhere other than a guess. It's just they haven't done it, so I'm gonna still stick with them not doing it as my prediction as much as I think they should. What about you?
I think they're going to do it. I think I don't think you do all the damn tinkering on the wings and the periphery of the lineup and you don't go out and you got Josh Levo, you don't go out and you don't try to beef up the flanks as much as they did without having a real serious conviction of putting Lindholm at center. And especially Jeff Ward, it's telling that he compares him to Patrice Bergeron, and I know for a fact they've consulted Jeff Ward a lot on what do you want to do and what do you need to do it before they went out and did all these moves. So Ward's fingerprints are all over these moves, and I think because of that, I think we see Lindholm start off at center.
And final one, and this is a good way to wrap it up. Sam, a little earlier, it said January 1st still likely, but I could see January 15th. Both are realistic. Okay, as we sit on November 20th, 2020, and training camps could be starting in less than a month. We could be talking about December 15 as when training camps start. But what does your gut say as to when this puck drop happens for the 2020-21 season? What if Ryan Pike's a betting man? What is night one? What date?
I'd say the 15th. I think the X factor is the NHL agreed to give the non-playoff teams an extra week, so that really cuts into the runway for this. Like if they get something done by November 30th, that gives LA, Ottawa, etc. a week to get their guys in town for camp, and that's going to be challenging. So I think based on the logistics, I think it gets pushed back a couple weeks. And the nice thing is, for the NHL, I think the closer they get to playing in springtime, the more likely the vaccines are going to be out and about. The more likely that they can start talking about having bodies in the buildings, which will really, I think, ease a lot of the financial considerations that the NHL and the NHLPA are bristling at. So I'm going to say the January 15th, but I'd be happy to be wrong, but I don't think I am.
I'm still going January 1. I think the fact that the NBA starting December 22nd is really making the NHL accelerate this. I'm going to say January 1, but I don't think anything you just said is invalid, but I'm still going to go with January 1st for a start date. And this one from Greg. Pat, when it comes to development of prospects, people really excited about Dustin Wolf. Should we be putting the brakes on that because historically the Flames aren't very good at developing goalies? One could argue that's more important than drafting the right guy, especially at goaltending, which is such a crapshoot. I think that's very true. It's a good question. I don't think that you can just right now get yourself a Flames Wolf jersey and expect that he's going to be here for the next 20 years. Goaltending is such voodoo. It's such a complete and it really is a guessing game at the best at times. It feels like I do think Wolf's a really strong prospect. I really do. But to sit here and say that he's a can't miss and that the Flames are going to make this their goaltender of the future. No, that would be premature because look, this team has not had great luck with goaltending prospects, A, and B, that's a fool's errand at the best of time when it comes to projecting goaltenders.
There's been plenty of can't miss prospects that have found a way to miss. I mean, a lot of it is luck and timing and preparation. I mean, there's plenty of weird things that can derail a very promising young player. But that said, I mean, the best predictor of future success is past success, and Dustin Wolf over the last 2 years has probably been the best goaltender in major junior hockey. Like you can make a case for his age group, maybe Spencer. Like again, this speaks to how ridiculous the America has been as a pipeline for goaltenders. The two best goaltenders outside of the NHL in the amateur ranks the last 2-3 years have been Spencer Knight and Dustin Wolf. And I feel bad for Dustin because the only reason that Dustin Wolf is not going to get a lot of World Junior games is because he's playing behind Spencer Knight. But he's led the Canadian Hockey League in pretty much every goaltending category for the last year or two, and that gets him in the door, and then it's just a matter of him kicking it down and figure things out. But he's a determined kid. He's gonna if he doesn't make it, he's gonna die trying.
What do we got coming up at Flames Nation? We're down to we got a tie at 4 for the top 20 prospects. So the last prospect 6 was Emilio Pettersson or Peterson, and then 4 tied the aforementioned Connor Mackey and the aforementioned Dustin Wolf. So we've got the top 3 prospects coming up in the next few days at Flames Nation. What else is kicking at FN?
Well, then after that, we're going to start kicking off. As we're getting closer to camp, we're probably going to look at, dusting off an old Kent Wilson special, realistic expectations, looking at the players who are likely to be penciled in for the Flames roster, and what can we expect from them? What would be reasonable to expect from them? I think one of the interesting ones will be Mark Giordano, because Mark Giordano is going to be, 37 going on 38. He is by no means a spring chicken, but he is also combinations of young and fresh. So 2 years after his Norris win, what can we expect from him? Is he going to be a little bit worse, a little bit better? Will he win a second Norris? Who the hell knows? So we're gonna sort of dig into the underlyings and see how everyone's projecting over the next year or so.
Check out flamesnation.ca. Check us out on Instagram and on Twitter as well. On the bottom right, you've got all the Flames Nation social tags, and follow Pike and I on socials if you're so inclined as well. Don't forget, big show, Sportsnet 960 The Fan goes every weekday from 1 until 6 o'clock. Join us for heavy Flames talk every weekday as well. Pike, stay safe or I'll smack you. I know you will, but be safe this weekend. And also, if you're watching, if you're with us, stay safe this weekend. Be courteous this weekend. Be healthy. We'll probably do another one of these on Monday. Bye, Pike. Have a good weekend, my friend.
Bye, Pat.
That'll do it for another edition of Flames Nation Live. Thanks for being along with us. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you Monday.